What is the worst thing you did as a frisky teen? Story 1. Sitting in the back of a car with my friend and girlfriend. My friend's mom was driving us home, and I was whispering dirty things in my GF's ear. My friend's mom pulled over for gas and announced, "Let's get out of the car for a few minutes so we can give Jeremy a chance to calm down." Turns out, I'm not good at whispering. Story 2. Made a spank bank deposit in an airplane bathroom once on an international flight. It took me longer than expected, and afterwards I also had to, calm down before I exited. So I opened the door to a big-ass line of people waiting for me. Story 3. My dad kept a bunch of adult tapes in a box on the top of his closet. After multiple visits to the box that required me to climb up a shelf, the shelf finally gave way and completely collapsed. Ripped off the wall. The clothes hung beneath the shelf and all the stuff on top of it went everywhere. Basically, I just did that cartoon whistle and back away thing. At the time, I thought he'd blame it on the house being old and the weight of the clothes hanging on the rack under the shelf. But when I was in my 20s, he told me he knew it was me. Story 4. Tried to spice things up in the bedroom with my now ex when I was 17. I suggested using whipped cream, but she didn't have any in the fridge, so we decided to use honey instead. Spent about 45 minutes trying to lick it off her body, and then I felt sick from the sugar and my tongue hurt like hell. Didn't get much of it off, so she had to go for a shower whilst I tried not to throw up from the honey overload. I couldn't eat honey for a few years after that. Story 5. I once let curiosity get the better of me, and decided to use mayonnaise as a personal lubricant. I think I read somewhere that it was ideal, and I just remember kneeling in the bathtub with mayonnaise everywhere, thinking, this is not great. Story 6. I worked with a girl at my college warehouse job, and she had the most incredible body. Soccer player, 5'2", thick thighs, and an ass that brings a tear to your eye. Literally perfect curves. She knew I wanted her, and she teased me at work all the time. I rubbed one out in the work bathroom one day because she accidentally brushed herself against me when she walked by. I nearly finished where I stood. I made my deposit in the bathroom urinal, locking the door behind me. This is a large bathroom that could have 10 people in it at the time, and often did. Luckily, no one even knocked. I finished in less than a minute, and I absolutely exploded. Fast forward a year later, and we both returned to the summer college job at the warehouse. This time, she didn't have a boyfriend. I closed that deal within a week. The hottest body I've ever seen, and I had it for a whole summer. Story 7. Stole my mom's Tahoe to get some action. It was a classic my parents aren't home scenario, and I couldn't resist. Also, my mom came home during a small party I was having and walked in on me, and my best friend, both doing it with our girlfriends, in my bedroom, in tandem. Luckily, a friend knew what was up and gave us enough of a heads up, but we were still all naked and the mattress was off the bed when she came in. And that is how I lost my V-card. But somehow, my mom still let my girlfriend spend the night and drove her to church in the morning. I'm the youngest of 4 brothers, and second youngest of 7 kids. Nothing I did surprised my mom at that point. Half was getting away with it, and half was my mom just genuinely not being surprised. Story 8. My first girlfriend and I used to be able to see each other for a few hours after school every day. Our school was right next to my neighborhood, so I walked to school, and one day when we were looking for somewhere secluded, we found a house for sale that wasn't locked. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it was definitely locked, but the kitchen window wasn't, and she squeezed through there to unlock the back door. Anyway, we used that house as our personal sanctuary for 2 weeks. Doing our best to make it look like we were never there. One day, when we were getting busy upstairs, we heard cars pull into the driveway. Ah, crap. The real estate agent is here for a showing. F***. I don't think I've ever put my clothes on faster, but we got out in time. Though I saw the front door opening as we were leaving out the back gate, so it was real close. Story 9. 16-year-old me and one of my friend's sisters at the park. We hit it off, and I talked to her for hours on the phone afterwards. She told me to come over in the morning when her dad left. 8 a.m. came around, and my frisky ass was in such a hurry I ditched my car next to my driveway. Instead of getting it out and driving, I just ran. Not jogged, ran. 4 miles to her house. Got busy, and it was totally worth it. Get a load of Forrest Pump over here. Story 10. Girlfriend asked if we could try through the back door, which, obviously being 17, I damn near shed tears of joy. Long story short, she started convulsing and passed out. I didn't know what to do, so I slapped her and she woke up crying. Anyway, she said that she had very low tolerance to pain and that her response was normal. Till this day, I remember that horrific moment of her laying there and me running around naked and panicking. Oh my god. The first time I got my GF to finish in the front seat of my car at the cemetery, she finished so hard she passed out. Eyes rolled back and everything. I was f***ing freaked, completely naked, shaking her by the shoulders to wake her up. God, we were stupid. Story 11. I was in that weird phase where you're just sticking it in things, right? Vacuum, toilet paper tube, socks, I don't know. I was like 13 and bored. Well, my dumbass thought it'd be fun to put a ring around it. But not just any ring. The only one I had was a ring for my car bearing. I was wearing it on my finger as an accessory. Well, as you can surmise, I pulled my flaccid part through it, and got hard and chuckled. But then... oh no. It wasn't coming off. I think this is okay, just get the soap, right? That didn't work, and blood's getting cut off now. At this point I started to freak out, and I get my mom. She gets these garden shears to cut it off, but she can't, because it's a f***ing car bearing. I'm rushed into the emergency clinic, where they can't even get it off with a ring cutter. Also, I might add that the doctor who helped me was also the medical instructor for my hunter's education that I was currently attending, so I'm like, oh, Mr. Johns, hello! And I feel so bad for my mom, who must have just been f***ing humiliated by all of this. Well, they managed to slide it off with lube, but it left my member twice its size, and thankfully only a little scratched up. Got the next 2 days off school, and can still perform to this day. Story 12. When I was a teenager, about 14 or 15, I had multiple encounters with my stepsister of the same age. She was a goody-goody, all-star, straight-A student. Her mother, my stepmother, was a bitch and bullied me. One day, she came up to me and asked if we could hang out, because she knew I had a weed hookup. I pride myself on the 2 years that followed. I'm infertile, so she would end up walking around with my finish inside her for hours. She ended up becoming my secret girlfriend. Eventually, though, all things must come to an end. She started talking to this one guy who started to fall for her, but we ended things square and spectacularly. I think I finished like 6 or 7 times that night. I got into it with my stepmother one day, and she was kicking me out for saying I didn't belong with them anymore, and no one loved me. I feel bad about it, but I went out of my way to tell her everything I did with her daughter. She had a face of pure pain and hatred. Not gonna lie, it was wonderful. She was a royal bitch. 10 out of 10, would do again. Story 13. Fresh 18-year-old from strict Chinese family gets a call from my Burmese girlfriend from extremely strict Buddhist family. Hey, come over and sneak into my house through the window. I was obviously terrified, but also excited and very much in the mood. For context, her dad is extremely strict, traditional, and has a history of being aggressive. He's also 6'2". So I jump her backyard fence at 1 a.m., sneak into her backyard, and crawl under her parents' bedroom window. I actually hear them still watching TV. I get to her bedroom window and jump in. We end up doing it for hours. All of a sudden, around 3 or 4 a.m., I hear a loud knock on the door. I freeze. I'm terrified. I run into her closet and hold my breath. She pretends to be asleep, and her dad goes and grabs a key and unlocks her door. He peeps in, doesn't see anything, and walks away. My heart was racing so fast. I waited 30 minutes, naked, in her closet, and then immediately left. Story 14. We went to this Christian camp on my senior trip for like 4 days, and at one point I was in the cabin alone, and decided to go around and smell the other guy's underwear. I didn't even like it. The only one I did like just smelled clean. That's just a thing I have now when I'm in bed and stare at the ceiling and just go, what the hell is wrong with me? I mean, imagine all the weird thoughts you'd be having if you were a closeted gay kid, and you have all these guys getting naked around you constantly the whole week, as if it's just not a big deal. I saw everyone's everything on this trip, multiple times. They legit wrestled in a hotel room in just their underwear for an hour at one point, while I tried to just look at my phone and not lose my mind. Then they pushed the beds together and we all slept in the mega bed, where they put me in the middle. This became the sleeping arrangement in every hotel we stayed at, and they all wore very little to bed. Like, man, I was down bad this whole trip, and this was my first time being alone since it started. But that's how I discovered I'm gay. Story 15. I had a girlfriend senior year of high school. She came over to work on an English project one day, and my dad was the only one home. His rule was no closed doors. Mine and the extra bedroom were connected via a Jack and Jill style bathroom. Thinking we were super sneaky, we did it on the countertop. My dad then decided to go out and use the pool for the first time in a long time, so we stopped being quiet. Thought we got away with it, but he told me years later that he wasn't sure I was straight most of my life, so he was allowing me to prove him wrong. Now we hop into the rapid fire segment for stories too short to make a full entry out of, but too good to be left out. Let's jump in. Wrapped my long john with tape. No idea why. I was just a stupid kid. Did the deed on my neighbor's roof. My stepdad saw me and he was not impressed. Peeked at my girlfriend's dad getting busy with her mom and finished myself off while watching. I used to swim naked at 3 a.m. in my neighbor's pool. I did it with a rug. Got my high school GF pregnant. Not me, but my friend drilled a hole in a soap bar and used that. Needless to say, he said it felt like it was being stung by needles constantly for a decent amount of time afterwards. When I was 12 or 13, I snuck into my stepmom's room and got off with her bra. I warmed up a banana peel. Made out in a church closet. I Eiffel Towered a pregnant girl in a hospital room with one of my buddies. Neither of us were the father. So guys, that's it for today. Don't forget to leave your story in the comments down below. I like to do viewer videos as well. I'm ReddList. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.
And I steeled myself for the fight ahead. For as good as I was, deep down I wondered if John Wesley wasn't just a little bit better.